It's a huge question. If your entire life is already mapped out, what's the point of the choices you make every day? Is it all just an illusion? This tension, right, between divine decree and our own personal responsibility, it's a paradox that so many people grapple with. So today, let's dive in and really try to unravel this together. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with that core paradox. Then we'll break down what divine decree actually means. After that, we'll walk through a really powerful 7-point argument, see how our own willpower fits into the big picture, and wrap it all up with an amazing story from history.
All right, let's get right into it. First up, the predestination paradox. This is really the knot that people get tied up in when they think about fate and free will.
So this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? If everything is already decided, does what you choose to do today, right now, actually matter? It feels like we're either the authors of our own lives or we're just actors reading from a pre-written script. And that apparent contradiction is exactly what we are here to explore. Now, before we can even begin to answer that question, we have to get a handle on a foundational concept, Al-Qadr, which is the Islamic understanding of divine decree. So at its core, Al-Qadr is the belief that God has predestined everything, and I mean everything, from the biggest events in the universe down to the tiniest details of our lives. But, and this is absolutely crucial, it's not random. It's all based on his perfect, all-knowing, infinite knowledge and wisdom. And this belief isn't just one single idea. It's actually built on 4 distinct pillars. Think of them like 4 steps that really explain how this whole system of divine decree works. So, let's break this down. It all starts with knowledge, the idea that God's knowledge is absolute and covers everything, past, present, and future. Then comes pre-recording. Everything that he knows will happen is written down in what's called the Al-Wa al-Mahfuz, or the preserved tablet. Third is his divine will. Nothing, and I mean nothing, happens unless he permits it. And finally, creation. God is the ultimate creator of everything, including us and our ability to act. But here's the key distinction, the one that changes everything. God knowing what you will choose is not the same thing as God forcing you to choose it. Keep that idea in mind because it's central to everything else. Okay, so with that background, let's get to the main event. We're going to explore 7 key arguments for why you can't just throw up your hands and use Al-Qadr as a free pass to do whatever you want. Yep, you heard that right. There are 7 powerful, logical arguments that systematically take apart the idea that you can just blame fate for your bad decisions. So here they are, the 7 arguments we're going to walk through. Each one is like a piece of a puzzle, looking at the issue from a different angle, from divine justice to human ability to just plain common sense. Let's dig in. The first point comes straight from the Quran. People in the past use this exact same excuse. They'd say, hey, we only did wrong because God willed it. But the response is sharp. Think about it. If that were a real excuse, why would there be divine punishment? A just God would never punish someone for an action they were literally forced to commit. It just doesn't add up. And the second argument follows right from that. I mean, why would God send messengers, people like Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, with books of guidance and clear warnings, if we had no choice in the matter? Their very existence proves that we're expected to listen, to think, and to act on that guidance. They were sent so we wouldn't have an excuse. I love this next one. It's so direct. Someone actually went up to the Prophet Muhammad and asked basically, hey, if it's all written down, shouldn't we just kick back and rely on our fate? And his answer was a clear and emphatic no. Instead, he told them to get to work, to perform good deeds, because everyone will find it easier to do the things that they are created for, the path they choose. And the fourth argument really comes down to fairness. A core principle is that God doesn't burden anyone with more than they can handle. So if we were truly forced into our sins, we would be held accountable for something we literally had no power to resist. That would be an impossible burden, and it completely contradicts the idea of a just and merciful creator. Okay, this next one is a real gut check. It points out this massive hypocrisy we often have. When it comes to worldly things, like getting a job, passing an exam, or even just choosing what to eat, we plan, we strive, we act. No one just sits on the couch and says, well, if it's my destiny to get that promotion, it'll just happen. But for some reason, when it comes to spiritual duties, some people are quick to blame fate for their inaction. And this connects to another key point. You don't even know what the future holds. You can't use a destiny you haven't seen as an excuse for a choice you're making right now. So how does this all fit together? How can our own willpower and God's ultimate will exist at the same time without one canceling out the other? Let's take a look. The answer is actually right in front of us every single day. We all know intuitively that there's a huge difference between something involuntary, like shivering when you're cold, and a conscious choice, like deciding whether to tell the truth or to lie. We're not held accountable for the things we can't control, but we are absolutely responsible for the choices we make on purpose. And this isn't just an idea. It's spelled out right here in the Quran. Look at the words. A person gets the reward for the good they have gained and bears the consequence of the evil they have earned. That language, gaining and earning, it's all about action, choice, and personal effort. It's not passive. Okay, let's wrap all of this up with a fantastic story from history that just brings this entire principle to life in such a sharp, practical way. It's about a thief who thought he had the perfect excuse. So picture this. A man is caught stealing, and he's brought before the leader of the community, Umar ibn al-Khattab. Now, Umar was known for being incredibly smart and for having this rock-solid sense of justice. The thief, facing his punishment, decides to get clever. He tries to use theology to get off the hook. He says, "Wait, don't blame me. I only stole because it was decreed by God. It was my destiny." It is the exact same excuse we've been taking apart this whole time. But Omar, he's not having any of it. He doesn't even get into a long philosophical debate. His response is immediate, it's practical, and honestly, it's just brilliant. And this is the mic drop moment. Umar just looks at him and says, "And we are amputating your hand because it is in the Qadr of Allah." He perfectly flips the thief's own logic back on him. The point is crystal clear. If your crime was part of the divine decree, well then so is the consequence. You don't get to pick and choose which parts of fate you want to accept. So, what's the real takeaway here? Believing in divine decree isn't a free pass for laziness or an excuse for bad behavior. It's actually meant to be empowering. It means understanding that while God has the ultimate knowledge and power, He has also given us the willpower and the capacity to make choices. Our actions, our efforts, our intentions, that's what we own. The pages of your day are right there, waiting. So the only real question is, what story will you choose to write?